Unless you're a rabbit, chances are the majority of what you consume is cooked food. But you probably don't realize that most of that food is lined with a chemical that is quickly getting banned across the world for being harmful to humans. What I'm talking about are PFAs, and you might be thinking, wait, weren't those banned some time ago? Well, yes, but at least in the US, only in certain states and only for certain items such as Tupperware. But surprisingly, there is yet to be a real serious effort in restricting the usage of PFAs in cookware. Yes, I'm talking about non-stick cookware like Teflon that 99% of home cooks and even many professional cooks will use to prepare your food. Because let's face it, most of us simply can't cook with stainless steel or cast iron and end up just making a mess with food sticking everywhere when we try. Although I will say, if you take the time to learn how to use these types of cookware properly, they're actually even easier to cook with and clean than non-stick. But the problem with any non-stick surface is that it's not designed to last. Now, that doesn't mean it disappears either. There's a reason why PFAs are in a group of chemicals known as forever chemicals. It's because they last for years and are highly resistant to any kind of environmental and even biological degradation. So, if the non-stick coating on your pan lasts, let's just say 1 year, which I'd say is pretty generous actually for most non-stick pans, and the half-life of these chemicals is estimated to be between 5 years to upwards of decades, where did that non-stick coating go? You guessed it, into your food and eventually into your body. So then why is it bad to ingest PFAs? It's because these chemicals are known endocrine disruptors, which basically means they throw your hormone levels way out of whack. So for example, one study published by Environmental Sciences Europe in 2016 found that ingesting PFAs could increase testosterone levels in males, while another study published by Springer in 2023 found that it can decrease testosterone levels. So the impact of PFAs might just depend on the individual, but what we do know is that they can have a significant impact, and that having testosterone levels either too high or too low can both be problematic when it comes to hair loss. Either way, you don't want your hormones being messed with. But it's not just about increasing or decreasing the levels of specific hormones. PFAs also bind directly with the androgen receptors in your follicles, meaning they can disrupt the signaling pathways that regulate the hair growth cycle. This is a huge problem because these receptors don't just bind to DHT, they also bind to testosterone, which signals the follicle to start the anagen or growth phase of the hair cycle. So, if your follicles are literally not receiving the signal to produce hair because an endocrine disruptor like PFA is blocking that signal, it's not hard to see the connection between these chemicals and hair loss. Okay, so now that we know this, am I suggesting that we all just become super picky and paranoid about everything we eat? Of course not. At the end of the day, we need to be realistic and practical. Just be aware of what you're cooking and what surfaces you're cooking on. If you're not using high heat, non-stick is probably fine for things like cooking eggs or sauteing vegetables. But if you need anything above medium heat, you definitely want to invest some time into learning how to cook with surfaces like stainless steel, carbon steel, or cast iron. There's a bit of a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, trust me, you'll never want to go back to non-stick again. Plus, these things last a lifetime and are cheap too. Alright folks, that's all I have for you guys today. Check out my other content if you want the latest and greatest tips to tackle hair loss and regrow your hair, and I'll see y'all in the next video.